As we were shooting it, we wanted to just continue making, we wanted to make one movie for every season of the show.
Your kids aren't ready for prime time.
Everyone down to the 8th floor now!
If I asked you your favorite SNL skit, do you have an answer? Can you pick?
Papyrus.
That's a good one.
The Kristen Wiig Target lady.
Nice.
Most recently, it was the Shane Gillis Liberty Mutual.
I'm gonna say Eddie Murphy's hot in the hot tub. He's too hot in the hot tub. That's because to me it was such a performative thing. And Eddie Murphy, I consider the king. That's what I call him, and I think that's what a lot of actors call him. So when you watch him at that young age, be so dynamic and so funny and so bold and carefree, you go, oh man, that's the beginning of something great, and it worked out for him.
I feel like there's going to be a funny thing in this press tour where I'm going to give a different answer every time someone asks me what my favorite sketch is.
What is it today?
Yeah.
Today, it's turning on the light bulb that Kristen Wiig. Is it Liza Minnelli that she's being, or is it her? It's so good. It's so good. The physicality is insane. Okay, you.
Well, with Chevy Chase, my favorite is word association with Richard Pryor. It was like kind of a shocking sketch, and Richard Pryor is a genius. It's so good. But I grew up with a deep fondness for the Spartan cheerleaders, Will Ferrell and Sherry O'Terry.
I still need to watch this.
Yeah, I think you would love it in particular. It's just a really fiery, silly energy that I loved.
Okay, let's see if we can get through one of these skits.
Sketches, baby, please.
Okay, you ready, camera one? Oh!
It was different from anything I'd ever shot. We recreated the 8th and 9th floor of Rockefeller Center completely, with every light built in, every cable built in, the microphones built in, and we would have all 80, we had 80 background actors, we had 80 speaking roles. We would often be miking up to 30 or 40 actors at a time, so many that our sound mixer had to bring a second mixing board just to keep track of all the different soundtracks. And we'd spend a lot of our day rehearsing these ideas just conceptually. It's like, where is the camera to go? Where is everyone gonna go? Where does this prop go? Where does that couch go? When does this light on fire? And as soon as we knew the basics, almost like a football play, then we would let the actors go wild with their performance. And so it's this organized chaos within which these actors get to be themselves, because sometimes you're the lead actor and sometimes you're the background. If every actor works every day, you gotta know, sometimes you have the dialogue and sometimes you're gonna have to make things up.
It was chatty.
It was very chatty.
Oh, yeah. Chatty.
Which is fun because it was a really interesting singular experience in that way. I don't know that I'll ever experience this size of an ensemble again on anything. You know, I mean, there's 80 speaking roles in the script, and it's one location each day that you're coming in, and it's really this beast that you just come into and you're a part of, and it's like, I mean, the behind the scenes of the set is that AD team was militant.
Oh my
it was
God, yeah.
Literally, it was so like you were just like kind of a pawn being, pushed around and like going where you're told and just being like, all right, yeah. So but then that came with a lot of laughs and a lot of
incredible TikToks that we look forward to sharing with the group.
And a lot of fun like scenes that you knew were on the schedule that day, and you could like kind of walk over early a little bit and check out, and things like that. Like it's a really, really cool project in that way.
My name is Lamorne Michaels. I'm the producer of Saturday Night.
The whole night?
Yeah, the whole night.
How do you approach playing a real life person as opposed to anybody fictional? What research do you have to do?
Ooh, I think it depends on the tone of the project. I think with Fabelman's, it was very much his emotional state and the relationships he had with his parents and to himself and his sisters. And that was really wonderful, just getting to know Steven and interview him about his personal life. And then with Lorne, Jason and I were just focusing on the first 90 minutes. And so I got to read a lot of books about the backstage history leading up to the development of the show and Lorne's early life. And I think there's more of like a rightness that you have to achieve that exists outside of your interpretation. Like you have to get facial mannerisms and your posture and your walk and your voice. and you have to look and feel like them, and you have to get it down. And I think that's more nerve-wracking than just leaving it open for your interpretation.
In my opinion, it was like a feast to have so much to tuck into. Like, I love doing people's voices, and I think especially as a Brit, I felt a certain amount of responsibility towards like not fucking it up. And Gilda has this delicious S lisp where like the moment you do it, your whole face changes with the lisp. So I loved doing that. That was something that was really joyful for me.
Usually with roles for me, the research is kind of really fun for me. I like doing that. This was a bit terrifying. Playing someone that people know so well, that's beloved, that has a really singular brand of comedy and wit and delivery and some physicality. So I spent a lot of time just watching this man and listening to him and trying to catch his speech patterns. At the time, I was living in a furnished apartment in New York with wall-to-wall carpeting, which sounds strange for New York, but I was just sort of walking around tripping and falling, so it was really helpful to have
that's great.
It worked out for me.
Because your fall is perfect.
Thank you.
How?
It was a lot of me falling alone in my apartment, trying to figure that out. But like a really thrilling and terrifying exercise, I think, to try to capture the essence of somebody people know.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, a mixture of things. You know, I spoke to Garrett. I had a few conversations with him. I met him, got a chance to hang out with him a little bit. And we just talked, we just shared stories and compared the comparisons of our life. And then Jason said to me, well, he said to all of us, really, he tried to get us to not do too much research.
Yeah.
And
I think he wanted to free us from the terror of it. I think he just wanted us to feel like we could just turn up.
Right.
And that we could do it.
Yeah. But for me, you know, it definitely helped me. It definitely helped me to do some research and to let go a little bit and surrender to just our common experiences that we share. And then just pick up a few of Garrett's tics, his isms, his cadence a little bit, and his walk, you know.
His walk is insane.
Yeah, those things. You know, Garrett said, oh, I chain smoked. He goes, I was clearing 4 or 5 packs a day. You know, he goes, if you saw me, there was a cigarette in my hand. And, you know, he said,
you're really committed to that bit.
Yeah.
So much so that you were doing it between takes.
I had to
the whole time.
Because I don't smoke. I'm not a smoker, but I had to make it feel authentic.
Yeah, you were chaining it.
Well, Garrett said to me, Garrett goes, I quit cocaine a long time ago, man, but cigarettes. Oh, cigarettes was like, oh, you think you're gonna quit me, bitch?
NBC makes more money playing reruns of The Tonight Show. I mean, we're 90 minutes of live television by a group of 20-year-olds.
One of my favorite days was when we filmed the last scene of the movie. I think it was just like, we filmed that towards the end and like everyone was really close with each other at that point, and like, I think it felt like this culmination of what we had been working towards. And so that was really, really special. And also, you don't always get to be in like the last shot of the movie. And the last shot of the movie, everyone's like, last shot of the movie. Like, I love when it's last shot of the movie. So that was just fun.
Yeah.
You know, in 2008, right after I directed Juno, my agent reached out to Lamorne Michaels and said, would you ever let this guy write for a week on your show? I had 2 dreams when I was a kid. One was to direct movies, the other was to be a writer for Saturday Night Live. And I got to be a guest writer there, and I got a sketch on the air. And I just remember that feeling as they counted down to live. And it was like nothing I'd ever experienced before. It was just completely exhilarating. It was a kind of a level of adrenaline usually reserved for test pilots and heroin addicts. I mean, it was just so exhilarating, and I knew that one day I would want to capture that in a film.
How close to accurate or real life is the film? I know you can do so much research, but was the accuracy really important, or did you just want to like capture the energy more than anything else?
It's a great question, and look, our job, my writing partner Gil and I, our job at first was journalists. You know, we were interviewing every living person we could find that was in the building on October 11th, 1975. From Lamorne Michaels, the creator, through the writing staff, the actors, the craftspeople, artisans who actually made the show. And we collected months' worth of stories, all the months leading up, the months after. And from there, we tried to boil it down into 90 straight minutes that really gave you the essence of what it feels like to be at SNL, what it feels like to be at the moment of creation.
Did anyone ask Edison what a light bulb was before he harnessed electricity?
Who are you in the metaphor?
When you think about recreating the 70s, we're talking about the extraordinary craftspeople like Danny Glicker, our costumer, Jess Gontra, our production designer. Danny, who got an Oscar nomination for making the film Milk. This is someone I've been working with since Thank You for Smoking and Up in the Air. He is an expert at creating recent eras look 1,000% real. You know, it's one of those things when you're recreating a recent era and you can just, you know if the details are off. So they spent months building these closets, building out, you know, this real authentic 8H. We were studying as much old footage of Saturday Night Live as we could, just to find every detail.